Randy Credico, live on the fly. I haven't had her on in, I think, about 6 months. Margaret Kimberley is the author of Presidential: Black Americans and the Presidents, beginning with Washington all the way up to, I guess, Obama or beyond Obama, Trump. Margaret, I'm sorry I kind of messed up that introduction, but I can't read. I got the spots in my eyes. How are you today?
That was fine. Thank you.
It's
Hi,
okay.
Randy. Thank you, Reggie.
All right. Margaret Kimberley, we just spoke to Dr. Wolf. He laid out the groundwork why we are in such bad shape economically and why crazy things are happening across the country. I played that Neil Young song that was Kent State and National Guard, and here we have the National Guard in a similar situation, not from the home state, but from other states in Chicago and Portland and L.A. and coming to New York soon. What's your thoughts about all of this?
Well, I have several thoughts. This is not mysterious. Trump told us his plan. Recently, he and the Secretary of War, Hedgeseth, ordered generals and admirals to come to Washington. And Trump, as usual, gave this rambling, sort of crazy speech, but he also made clear, he said there's an enemy within. And the military should take out this enemy within just like they do abroad. And he said, you may be in faraway Kenya or Somalia and I'm glad he said it because when we try to connect the international with the domestic, there's some people who don't want to listen. But that was an admission of U.S.
Exactly.
aggression.
Yes. That's a perfect connection, the domestic with the international. Could you expand on that?
Sure. So if the U.S. claims a right to bomb boats off of the coast of Venezuela to help make a case for war, or to bomb Somalia, a country in the Horn of Africa that has been bombed more than any other by the U.S., by every president from Bill Clinton onward, then inevitably it's going to happen at home. So now we see the National Guard, or Trump trying to send the National Guard to cities and states around the country against the wishes of local officials, or in the case of Chicago, under the pretext of arresting people who are undocumented, raiding an entire apartment building in Chicago, tying people up, kids and adults, ransacking people's apartments. That is what he wants. He said there's an enemy within. We're going to clean up these cities. He means attack people of color. That's what he means by that. And so he's telling us. So it's not mysterious. There's no mystery about what is going on now. And I have to add that raid of that apartment building, Kamala Harris didn't say anything. Barack Obama didn't say anything. Chuck Schumer didn't say anything. Hakeem Jeffries didn't say anything.
I'm shocked.
Yes, what a surprise.
Right.
So, but I think it's important to point that out, the bankruptcy of the political system and of the Democratic Party. It just makes clear to us that the people, we're on our own, and the electoral system will not save us.
Is anybody in government other than, I think there was an admiral or a colonel or maybe a general. Oh, Southcom. The person in Southcom
Yes.
just resigned. But you didn't see anybody like resigning the day he delivered that soporific comical speech in Quantico in front of those 800 generals and admirals. And Pete, I call him Pete Headcase. His
Well, he said, if you don't agree, then you have to leave. You're out. So no, you're not going to hear anything from them unless are ready to retire. Now, why this guy is the Southcom commander, an admiral, why he's stepping down, who knows? Hedgeseth has been firing a lot of military leaders. So you have to be on board with Trump in order to keep your job, as he said. This Southcom leader, and I'm blanking on his name, is black. I'm sure that that's something that was not helpful to his career with the Trump administration. They made it clear they want white people.
Yeah.
Everything Trump does is about promoting white people. They're floating a scheme to have a refugee program just for white people, white South Africans or white people in Europe who don't like the fact that there are global South people living in their countries. So this is white supremacy is very much in the forefront. Not that it wasn't for other presidents, but Trump is being more overt about it, and especially in the absence of anybody protesting. The U.S. is on the verge of a war of choice against Venezuela, a country that has not harmed the U.S. Against the wishes of obviously people in Venezuela don't want to be bombed. They may have varying opinions about their government, but that's for them to figure out.
Right.
But the U.S. is ready to kill people in Venezuela, and I don't hear a lot about it. There's a demonstration Saturday, the 18th, the No Kings. It's a Democratic Party thing, but their demands, such as they are, I don't even think they have demands. Nobody's talking about war.
They're talking about health care and education, but they're not talking about war, especially the proxy war in Ukraine, which has killed 2 million people on our behalf and the West's behalf. And I want to stop for a second, because people that are supporting that proxy war that we got them into, 2 million people have died. And these are Slavs killing Slavs, and a lot of the support basically is predicated on racism. That's my.
Of course. Well, excuse me.
Slavs killing Slavs.
Well, it is. It's a complicated history of Ukraine, going back 100 years. This country that, from its beginnings, was divided between East and West. The breakup of the Soviet Union, the U.S. using it as a proxy against Russia, the U.S. and the Obama administration instigating a coup against the elected president, Biden instigating a war, Trump, despite his claims, continuing that war. But it's another issue of the U.S. practicing aggression in a foreign country in the name of hegemony, in the name of being the most powerful country on the planet, in the name of imperialism.
Right. Well, what do you think is a driving force here? Is it because we want to divide Russia up? Europe is dead economically. They have no colonies to pinch their blood from and live the good life. And so Russia's the last frontier. It's got 11 time zones. It's loaded with minerals, loaded with natural resources. And it seems like they are going to gamble everything to get a piece of it. And
Well, yes.
Trump can't move away from that because we're on the snide economically.
Well, yes, it's continuity. People call it continuity of agenda. Democrats, Republicans, when it comes to foreign policy, very little changes. And this breaking up Russia, fantasy goes back decades with Zbigniew Brzezinski and others. Europeans talk about breaking up Russia as if Russians want to be broken up. It's a vast country. Excuse me, as you just said, with oil, with gas, with diamonds, with everything the world, modern world needs to function, and they want to get their hands on it. And Putin has said, no, you're not getting your hands on it. And once again, when we talk about these things, we should not be talking about personalities and whether you do or don't like someone or whether they are or aren't a dictator. The U.S. doesn't have a right to Russia's resources. It doesn't have a right to interfere in their government, interfere with their people. So, but this constant, it's very frightening to me. These nuclear agreements that the U.S. has had going back decades, they've all expired. There's one left. The START Treaty goes back to Reagan. And every president, Democrat, Republican, since Bill Clinton has allowed these treaties to expire. So when people have, talk big about containing Russia, breaking up Russia, stopping Putin, whatever, you're talking about conflict with another nuclear power and no mechanisms to stop it. But I would say capitalism is at the root. Stealing other people's stuff. You touched on that with the Europeans for decades, for centuries actually, being able to pillage and plunder what they wanted from the rest of the world. The U.S. doing the same, and that means we don't have. They're not going to have money for health care. You can't build up the military. It's almost $1 trillion now, the military budget. It goes up regardless of who's in power. It's most of the budget. And you cannot provide housing. You cannot provide health care and pay for all that. Trump, of course, has given a lot of, allocated a lot of money to ICE, obsessed with getting foreigners from the global south out of the country. So all of these things are tied. Capitalism is at the root. I would say racism and capitalism are the two biggest problems in the U.S. and explain a lot of what is wrong.
Right, and you're right. If the Democratic Party would, why doesn't somebody stand up and say, "Hey, look, forget these wars. Forget these wars here. Stop the bellicosity with China and Iran and with Russia, and let's focus on all of these issues that you just pointed out."
Because it's continuity of agenda. You know, we have this revolving door of bourgeois democracy, as it's called, where one party makes a better case and they get voted in, and then people are disappointed in them because their reason for being is not to help the people. So they may fall out of favor and another party comes in and everybody talks a good game. So Obama pretended to be progressive and Trump pretends he wants to end the war in Ukraine. But what doesn't change is allegiance to the ruling classes. They are the people who control the 1%, as a great name for these billionaires.
Right.
They're the ones who run the country.
Right. Richard Wolff was pointing that out, that Occupy Wall Street, which I was part of for 5 months, it got arrested a few times. That was fun. With Cornel West one time, and we had a great time singing Motown tunes up there in the 124th Street precinct, whatever it's called. But it is the 1%, that are grabbing everything. We're in disarray in this country. Everyone I know is suffering economically, unless you've already got a big bankroll. You got stocks and bonds and gold reserves or whatever you have as assets. But the rest of us are really struggling right now. So is that tied into the domestic repression, the fact that we are collapsing economically for the majority of the people, that Trump is, he's got the National Guard he's got ICE everywhere, not just going after and arresting people that look like they're from a foreign country, but other people as well.
Yes, repression is all they have left. The system has no legitimacy. People are struggling, have been for decades. Real wages have not gone up in years. The minimum wage is an indicator of the fact that it hasn't gone up. And people are very angry. And they want to make sure that if anyone has any ideas about protesting, about opposing them, that they can just lock you up. That's
Antifa.
why there's a...
We're all Antifa. What does Antifa mean? Is it
nothing?
It's
a way
anti-fascist. That's all it means, right?
Yes, it is. But Trump is, the beauty, the evil beauty of him going on and on about Antifa is that it can mean anything he wants it to mean. Yeah. Basically, it will mean anybody who attacks, who opposes his policies from the left. And there's no such organization. It's completely made up, but it's a tool. It's going to be a tool of repression. But the repression precedes him. That's why there was a cop city in Atlanta. That's why there are cop cities all over the country. They want to make sure that anybody, their goal at any rate, is to crush any individuals or movements that might spring up to oppose them.
Right. And I want to play this clip here of Christy Nome, who's the head of the Secretary of Homeland Security. And this is a very scary, portentous statement that she lays out here.
So, Secretary Nome, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right
let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
She was asked about habeas corpus, and she didn't know what it was to begin with, but she did say the president has the right to invoke or revoke habeas corpus, and basically, and the Insurrection Act. What do you say to that, Margaret?
Well, I would remind people he's not the first. Habeas corpus was undermined by Obama when he said he was trying to establish that indefinite detention would be legal. That's defying habeas corpus. I think it literally means in Latin to have the body. And it establishes that you have rights, that you can't just be snatched up, and that because you have the rights of habeas corpus, the state has to account for what it's doing to people, and you can't just snatch people up. You can't hold people indefinitely. But that makes it difficult for them because repression is their goal. And if you have to follow the Bill of Rights, if you have to respect our constitutional rights, it's more difficult to repress the population. And so that's why she would play dumb and claim whatever it was she said, that she didn't know what it meant or the president can get rid of it. That's the entire purpose. But I have to say also the ease with which Trump is doing all of these things shows us that the parties are mirrors of each other. They may use different tactics, different language, but we have not heard any strong opposition from the Democrats.
Right. Oh, my goodness. So what do we do at this point? Do you see, is there any exit out of the jam that we're in, or is it just going to continue to slide?
It will slide if we don't speak up. I actually think discrediting the Democrats is the bigger priority. They are the problem. And I think we have to say that. And this, No King's March, people are arguing about whether they should or shouldn't participate. I say no. It's Democrats being phony, pretending, and the people operating it, they're longtime Democratic Party operatives. They're Zionists, they're pro-war on Ukraine, and periodically they will come up with something to get people who are trying to be hopeful to march around for a day and feel better. I'm not, against feeling better, but I think one of the first things we have to do is say no more. We're not going to participate in this. I think that is the key. I think there has to be more strategic planning, more political education, so we can talk about how to be effective in our protests, and we have to call out this fake opposition party.
Right. Well, this can happen quite quickly. What's happening in Portland and Los Angeles, coming to New York, in D.C. I was there. I saw D.C., these guys in balaclavas. Why are they wearing balaclavas to begin with? Who are they? And their tactics are so brutal. I mean, they, if you want to talk about shock troops, they are shock troops. And I don't know. Trump could just, in a matter, everyone's complying with it. You know what I mean? There's nobody.
Yes, like the mayor of Washington, D.C., who was praising him from coming into her city, racially profiling people, arresting people, now with federal charges for minor offenses. That I think is as big a problem as Trump himself, and they're wearing masks and they're wearing balaclavas because what they're doing is not legal. Right. There'd be no reason for them to hide their faces if they just followed the laws about arresting people, about surveillance, and so on.
They
But
don't even have name tags. I mean, there's no way. They're roughing up people that are videotaping them. I mean, I videotape the police all the
and
time.
charging people with obstruction, just to try to. That's the repression that we were just talking about, and we have to call it. I mean, there are people, there are lawsuits, there are folks doing things to try to stop them, but we have to also call out the people who have the power to speak up who do not. Right. I think that's essential.
Well, what about his inner circle, Stephen Miller and Christine Nome? And,
well, they're true believers. That's why he has them there.
What about the vice president? What about the FBI director and Bondi and all of that? I mean,
true. As I said, true believers. Trump has been very disciplined this time around. Everybody in his inner circle is 100% with him.
Yeah, and that includes Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the
House Speaker, of course.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, thank you for all the good news. You put me in a very good mood here. And so tell us where people can find your work in Black Agenda Report.
blackagendareport.com. We have a new issue every Wednesday. Black Agenda Radio, as you said, we're on WBAI every Thursday at 6. Great interviews every week. We have a great interview this week about data centers, about AI and data centers and the dangers that they pose to the people. So check us out there. We're on all social media, Facebook, X, etc.
And people can see at Black Agenda Report your great brief at the United Nations Security Council, which was like a year and a few months ago.
Yes, last May.
Yes.
And
I was there. It was wonderful.
Yes, you were.
And I saw you at one of these parties, I think May 8th or something like that. No, Russia Day, yes. Well, we don't talk about that, but the food was great, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. A very nice spread.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Margaret Kimberley. We'll be talking to you soon. All right? Take care.
Thank you so much.
All
Bye-bye.
Right.